I want to go to Enemy at the Gate because it was such Atlantis was much more action than SG1 was. I
It
think
was.
SG1 had its definitely had its Indiana Jones, qualities and moments, but there was something just much more intense about Atlantis overall. It seemed to set the contemplative stuff aside because I don't think really there wasn't really much of a Daniel voice in the show. There was a little bit with Weir and a couple of the others, but I think that the running and gunning of the show for Atlantis just proved to be one of its strengths. Would that make it longer for pre-production?
No,
Typically,
no,
no. You
no.
just managed to fit it in.
I think we, as if memory serves, yeah, I think we managed to keep it all in this sort of the same schedule and mold. And you're right. I mean, there was definitely more. It felt like it was more involved. That there was more to it. Certainly in the visual effects component of it as well. I think they were, had certainly more challenges. Mark Savella and his team of artists, it was a lot more involved with this, the big the space battles that would,
Mm-hmm.
the puddle jumper and everything that came with that. But it was scheduling wise and production wise, it was all pretty much the same. But the levels of intensity, like David Hewlett, for instance, and the intensity
Right.
that it was just great. He was always so invested, and it just
Yes.
created that palpable energy all the time whenever he was on screen, and that was infectious. So the rest of the gang kind of followed suit. Flanagan, was the calming force, and it was a really nice combination of energies that
What
that helped inform it all too.
Rob Cooper wrapped up SG1 with Unending, and you were charged with wrapping up Atlantis with Enemy at the Gate. Was it another day at the office getting this second series completed, or were there thoughts of like, because you knew at that point that the show was not coming back for a sixth season when you guys shot it.
Yeah, we knew we were done. We knew that we were finished. So there
How
was
was
certainly
that?
yeah. I mean, there was certainly some pressure to that, but it was a pretty complex, multiple storyline episode. So it was so dense that it didn't.
Very.
Yeah. I mean, my recollection was any sort of burden of knowing that was the last episode. I think it kind of went away once it was boots on the ground and we were doing it, because there was a lot to do. And just again, those multiple storylines and it was a pretty big action show as well. We were doing a lot of different things in it, and I think that just pretty much took all the attention anyway. So that burden of it being the last episode was kind of pushed to the side a little bit. And I tried to treat it as just another show, but you also tried not to compromise and like, okay, we've got the one shot at this. Let's not screw it up.
There
This
were
matter.
some great sequences in that. Atlantis re-entering the atmosphere of Earth and settling down just outside of San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not used to seeing Golden Gate from that angle. Was there any
Yeah.
kind of pre-production work involved in making sure that looked aesthetically correct?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think at the onset, if I'm not speaking out of school here, my recollection was that the original idea was that it was going to land in New York City at the Statue of Liberty. I think that was the initial plan, and then it was just, it's surrounded by landmass. I don't think we can actually land Atlantis
Right.
outside. So I think that's why it ended up ultimately going to the Golden Gate Bridge. I have to check with Paul and Joe on that one. They would be
Okay.
the
Okay.
guys who would be able to answer that one correctly, but that was my recollection. But yeah, it was obviously we had to kind of set where the eye lines were going to be and what the lighting was going to be like at that point when they all came up to the railing to look outside.
What was
Yeah.
Flanagan like over the course of that run? Very different energy from Rick.
Yeah, very different energy, very intense, very thoughtful. I think he might have sort of given the impression from time to time that maybe he either wasn't interested or he had other ideas, but that wasn't the case. He always at the end of the day came to the party and delivered the goods, and he just, yeah, just a little bit of a different energy, and you would treat him a different way of this. But that's the case with every one of them. You would always speak to each person a little bit differently, and that's part of our jobs. Is you know, actors are funny people. You know, they require a specific attention. They like to be spoken to one, and that's only fair. And they want to be heard, and they want to make sure that their ideas are being listened to. And if they need a bit of an explanation as to why they're doing what they're doing, it's only fair that they're given that explanation. But no, Joe was a great guy. He was fine. He would always, you know, we never waited for him. He would come when he was asked, and yeah, I no complaints whatsoever. I mean, back in the old days when I was an assistant director, good Lord, I mean, it was sometimes the actors wouldn't come out of the trailers for hours on end, and those days are, thank God, at least in my career, in my history, those days are gone. But it used to be ugly.
Wow, just pretentious.
Pretentious, you know. Yeah, essentially that's, you know, narcissistic.
Is it just that we're more sensitive now, or
think
that
our
there's
tolerances are lower,
or that
our tolerances are lower. We don't have time to deal with
it.
that.
And also we've got these things to record.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone talking too.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah.
No, I think everybody. Yeah, and that was actually quite a wonderful invention for us to, as a communication device and as a recording device. That, but yeah, no, people. I think those days are gone, and you know, I think a lot of shows, a lot of producers have sort of come to the conclusion that life's too short to deal with those kind of people.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, that was the motto upstairs as well. LTS.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
And I think it's one of the reasons that the franchise was as successful as it was on television. So
yeah, yeah.
Stargate Universe, Air 1 through 3. Holy cow!
Yeah, you know, an amazing experience, I have to say. That one, that was one that I did feel the burden of a little bit, but also loved the challenge of starting off a show like that. We were under a certain amount of pressure from sci-fi. You know, they were looking for a show that sort of bridged the Battlestar Galactica world and the Stargate SG-1 or the Stargate world. They were trying to sort of combine those elements. So they wanted something that was a little darker, a little grittier, a little more visceral than and serious.
Well, realistic, in my opinion, too.
Yeah, for sure. Very much so. And you know, the performances were the way the camera was handled, much more handheld, you know, more verite style. And yeah, it was. I'm very proud of SGU and was profoundly disappointed when it got canceled. That was a huge letdown, and because that set, I mean, if you had walked through that,
it's like stepping into H.G. Wells or Jules Verne.
Oh yeah, incredible.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.